So I'm waiting for it to dry a little bit. And I'm gonna just keep going, adding the different grays to build up those layers. I'm getting where I got this nice from light gray to this darker gray. I'm gonna have to start using a lot more darker grays to build up some of this black around here. It's almost black. So what I did, I'm gonna just take the darkest gray I have and just keep adding a good bit of the ink straight into it. I'm gonna test it out on my scrap paper, just see what we got. And like I said at the beginning, this might be this color now, but as it dries, it's gonna lighten up. Now black by itself is gonna be that, so I'm pretty happy with what that one is. You can always adjust your grays to different ones. Alright, so I got a really dark gray. Start adding it to around this part of the apple, just to get that really dark, almost black in here. Pay attention to where there's some lighter parts. So don't think all this is just pure black or this one color. So I'm taking my time, just building up the black, the dark, not really black, but the dark, just where we getting a lot of contrast. And like I said, as I'm putting this on, it's a little super dark, but as it dries, it's not as bad as far as darks, as dark as you think it is. But we still want to make it pretty dark as we continue to build up on top of each other. So, like I said, now we're starting to get some nice, really nice, dark, some contrast. So I might want to go back over to this lighter part and add some. I'm going back to my number 1, which is really light, just to give it some, because this part to me is really white. It has some gray areas in it, but it's super white, and this is more of a gray. So I'm just going to add a layer of that to make it a little bit darker. while that's drying, I'm going to start on my stem that we've been neglecting the whole time. So the same idea that we did for the apple is going to work the same for our stem. So I'm going to start with light, and then go from there. You can always take away, add, but you can never take away. Once it's there, it's pretty much there. Let it dry a little bit. Let's just go back down here while that's drying. We're going to go back and forth. So I did a layer of super light, which was my number 1, which is almost very light gray. And I'm just going to keep going back to the bottom and building up this almost black. I'm not using black, I'm using the one next to my pure black. So this is very dark gray. I'm not using my black straight ink yet. That's going to be the last thing we do. This very last thing I want to do is use black. Straight black. And as long as this is drying, I'm just going to keep adding and adding. Noticing where I have really darker spots and really light spots. Especially up here at the top, there's a lot of differences in the top. As that's drying, I'm going to start my shadow. Like I said, we're going to notice how the shadow is, in this case, kind of like an oval. It's off to the right. So, but also, the same as we've done before, we can start really light, because the shadow, if you look at our picture, our shadow is different grays. When you think of a shadow, you think of my hand right now. That's pure black, or really dark. Not, but when you look at, if you start studying shadows, there are different shades of gray in our shadows. So the same thing as we did with the apple, we started on our stem. We can do a light wash of gray. I'm going to do number 1, and then go from there. Go from light to dark. Don't go from, this is right under the apple, it's pretty much pure black. So don't start with that, then do this. Start with a lighter gray, and then go to the black. You can always add on top. You can never take away. That's our motto for today. Yeah, that rhymes. Never take away. That's our motto for today. Alright, so I'm just going to start adding. And if you think it should be darker. So I did my second one to the lightest. Just start adding and adding and adding, building that layers upon layers. I'm going to go back to my stem and do the same thing. The stem has a lot of different, has a light, a medium, and a dark. It's not just brown or a solid color. As that's drying, I'm going to go back to my apple and add some more of these darks around this part on the right, around to the top, just where I can get some of that contrast. Keep going. So I messed up at the top. It bled, which is fine. I took my finger and kind of dabbed some of that water. Best to take a paper towel and just, if that happens, take a piece of paper towel. And I'm just gonna not touch it, but barely touch it with my paper towel. And it will kind of soak that excess liquid water up. Where it's not as, it doesn't bleed as bad. So I'm going to go back to my shadow. What I did is put like a little darker on the base of the apple, and then clean my brush off with water, and then dragging that out to get it where it's faded or blended. Alright, so I'm going to take a break, let it dry, and then come back.